Okay, well, hello everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today, and especially as it's Agile and Product Conference. So it's already there. Outcome is the new black, as was Paul just saying, that outcomes became a really trendy topic. You can see that it's all over the place. Everybody's talking about it, and everybody's struggling, honestly, even myself. Because we were just doing the planning, and I was like, okay, let's plan what are we doing in the next queue. And I was talking to my manager less. Yeah, we plan outcomes, remember? I was like, oh yeah, let me redo my job. So definitely it's something that every time you are starting, it takes a little bit time to switch in. So a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Ginte. You don't need to know my surname, it's fine. I'm Lithuanian originally, but I live in Barcelona, and I've been in product like 7, 8 years, somewhere there. And at the moment, I work for Harbits, which is a Spanish startup that's been in the market for 5 years. And actually, it's really nice because we're just two product managers, and our CPO is very outcomes driven. So it's really a nice environment to practice this mindset and this approach. So Paul mentioned that we have a mix of people here. So I would like to know a little bit as well the audience. So first of all, who are Agile representatives of Agile Evangelists? Can you raise your hand, please? Okay, and the product people? Oh wow, the majority. But it's product track approval, that's why. But thank you for Agile people to join here as well to listen to me. And another raise of hands. Have you heard about outcome-based development or outcome roadmaps? Raise the hands. Not as many. That's good that we're going to touch the basics. So I think it's the last time that I'm going to ask you to raise your hands, but have you seen a roadmap, like a traditional roadmap, that looks something like this? Okay, the majority. Okay. And the last conference was the minority, and I was like, what guys are you doing in product if you haven't seen the product roadmap? We personally, as product managers, probably will agree that we have the love and hate relationship with the roadmap, like this especially. But before we dive into, it's a historical fun fact that I didn't know before preparing this presentation. Did you know that traditional roadmap comes from the waterfall? And it was for me a surprise, but it kind of makes sense because it was when we were developing the things in the CDs and things had to be like at a certain date, ready, prepared, and finished. And that's why they were using those roadmaps. And I'm like, okay, I mean, we changed the way we are working. We can now release daily, hourly, depending on the company. Some companies not so often. But I mean, why didn't we change the way we plan our work, the way we plan our roadmaps? And just on a note, can you imagine, like, when the CDs were being released, what a stressful job was supposed to be a product manager? I mean, imagine you forget something to add, and then you're like, uh-oh, the whole city is rolled back from the stores. I mean, that's supposed to be stressful. I'm not saying that now our job is very easy. But yeah, given all this change, we are not changing our ways of working, and I think we should. Let me touch the downside of the traditional roadmap. So first of all, if you have made one or more, you probably know how hard it is to keep it up to date. I mean, the items get reprioritized, the items get postponed, especially when we plan so much ahead, like for a year normally, no? So basically, the moment you make it, it gets outdated at the same, like in an hour. When I joined my company, in the first 3 months, I think I changed my roadmap like 10 times. And I was like, guys, let's stop. It's not okay to keep changing and moving the items like that because it takes a lot of time and effort. Then, at the end, it serves as a release plan because you have the features that you're doing, you have the timelines that you're putting on it, and then it's just like, okay, we're delivering this feature, we're delivering this feature. So you become a project manager rather than the product manager, and we all know, don't call a product manager a project manager. It's a big insult. Another thing, estimations. Most likely, when you were preparing the product roadmap, the estimations yet didn't touch the engineering part, or they're like high level, like this touches the database, so I think it's going to be a month. This is just the front end. It should be 2 weeks. So this is how we plan the traditional roadmap normally. And that means that then you start developing, then you start the engineering investigation, and you're like, oh, we need to rewrite the whole component. We need to do this change. And then it takes like so long, and we are always late. And then the stakeholders comes to you, and you were supposed to deliver this on May 15, and that's in 2 days. Are you there yet? I'm like, we will deliver that maybe. I mean, we'll start working on it next week. So, I mean, we got postponed, the items got reprioritized, some legal commitments come in, or we just suddenly realize that our customers have a really big problem that we need to address it now and to deliver different changes. And basically, I think the biggest problem with the traditional roadmap is that we do not address the currently most important problem. And why is that? It's because when we plan the roadmap, we choose the features that we're going to be delivering. And imagine, like, you think that now customer is facing this problem, and you put the feature that's going to be solving this at the end of the year. What happens in that time? You deliver a lot of features. You might have solved this problem with another workaround or another feature, or basically the user doesn't have this problem anymore. Or it could be that you release new features, and then you have way different problems and way more important. So until you run into end of the year when it comes, it's like you have a problem or the feature that you decided that you're going to build like 7 months ago. So it's like not necessarily what is necessary to be doing at that. Okay, outcomes-based roadmap, outcomes-based development, outcomes-led organization. A lot of outcomes. For me personally, it was a bit complicated to understand at the beginning, especially what is outcome versus output. It might be because English is not my native language. So for me, it was like too similar. And every time I was like, wait, do I write outputs? Do I write outcomes? So to visit this, like outcomes are what the business wants, what value to the customers we deliver. And the outputs are the action items that are contributing to achieving an outcome. Some examples. So for example, in outcomes, we plan user find product 30% faster. And then when you come to it, you're like, okay, what could be the solutions? You brainstorm and you validate them, and then you decide, okay, put the products in categories. This is how we are expecting that the users are going to be finding the products 30% faster. Another example could be increase user retention by 20%. Okay, we need to release the onboarding tutorial for that to make it happen. Okay, I think I hope you have a decent understanding the different outcome outputs. Now we can take a look at the roadmap. What is the difference between the traditional roadmap versus outcome-based roadmap? So when we talk about outcome-based roadmap, the new element comes in place, and that is a metric. Because we are trying to improve something. We're optimizing for something. And that means that we are not focusing anymore at just shipping and never looking back, but we ship something and then we see if we impacted the metric. If we didn't, we come back and we revisit that. And yeah, the main focus becomes the value. Then that means that we change the thinking from what we are building next to what impact we are trying to achieve later. So we start planning outcomes in order, outcomes, not the outputs. And then the prioritization changes a little bit as well, because with the outcomes, we focus on now, next, and later. So what is the most important now in 1-2 months? What is the most important next in the 3-6 months, more or less? I mean, these months are like every company is going to choose their own, but this is like a base standard, so to say. And then later, that's like 6 months onwards. So that's like potentially we're going to be looking in this, but that might change. So that gives us a lot of flexibility in there. And when in traditional roadmap, you choose Q1, January 15, we are releasing this item, or Q2, we are releasing this item. So that is the difference. Like now we are solving this problem. We don't know yet what are we delivering, but we are focusing on the impact. And a bit of a heads up, the stakeholder management with outcome development becomes a bit more complicated. Why is it so? Because our stakeholders want to know when in what are you going to be delivering. And in outcomes, most likely you're not yet sure exactly neither when, neither how you're going to be solving the problems. So that's to have in mind. I mean, the stakeholder management is already complex enough, but it is what it is. Okay, recap. Traditional roadmap focuses on the features. Outcome-based roadmap focuses on the problem. Theoretical part is done, but probably the main question is like, where do I start? How do I try to do that in my company? So I would like to start with a spoiler alert. The change is never easy, especially when you are focusing on the change of the mindset, of the culture, because this is the thing that is like so rooted in the company, in the people that are working. So it's going to be really challenging experience, that for sure. And the good thing that it gets easier with time, because people get familiarized with the things, with the strategy, with this new ways of working, and then people come around and they start thinking that it's valuable. We're going to join this. I would like to share with you a couple of aspects that I think are the most important to look at when you are delivering such a change to your organization. So first one, and I think it's the most important one, I hope you will agree with me, it's to change the team focus. Why is it so? Imagine you have finish line there, and you have 5 people that are going to be trying to achieve the finish line. Our finish is there, this is where we want to go. And then suddenly, everybody takes off different directions. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. We're not going to reach the same finish line together. And no matter how skilled they are, no matter how fast they are, the endurance and anything, we need to be running the same direction. That means we need to understand the focus, we need to understand why we are doing things, and we need to understand what problems we are solving. And this helps for the team to own the problem. And that's where the magic happens. So do you agree with me that is very important? I hope yes. Experimentation. It is very important in outcomes to experiment with things and to look into a problem as a potential hypothesis and to look for the things, how we're going to solve it, how we're going to validate it, and to see how to achieve the results that we are planning on. Why? Because in this approach, we start from the problem. We don't start from the feature. Mostly in the beginning, we don't even know what are we going to be building. So that's why we need to validate the potential solution that we come up with to see if it's helping you to solve the problem or not. And another tricky part here is that we don't know what is going to succeed. So it's really important to remember that experimentation, validation. And I understand that everybody has like the full roadmap for a year up front, and you're like to experiment, to build the things. I don't have time to deliver the things I need to because the deadlines are pressuring me. But experimentation is not equal development. Some of the organizations have the UX research team. That's like a golden ticket. Then they can help you validate your ideas and to decide if this is going to be a good one or not. But if you don't have a research team, that's also not a problem, because we have so many validation tools there in the market existing, like user feedback, user interviews, questionnaires, landing pages. I mean, you choose. There are so many of them, and they are not so hard to implement. So you, with your hands, with a bit of Googling, maybe AI, but try to save AI because a lot of water is being wasted. You can pick your tools. The most important before starting the validation to have your goal. What are you trying to find out? So maybe it's about the market, it's about a product. So know what you're looking for, because if you run an experiment and then you have a bunch of data, it's very hard to interpret the data without knowing actually what you were trying to achieve. And the good thing is that the sooner you discard, the sooner you're going to be delivering the value to the customers, because this is where, the sooner you find the right solution, the sooner it's going to reach your customer, the sooner your company is going to get the value, the sooner your leadership is going to be like, yeah, good job, I'm happy that you tried this experiment. Oh, that was the slide for the Salt Talk, so sorry about that. The third thing that is very important, I think, is the goals and the OKRs. So if your company has the goal, it's really good, because following the goals and OKRs of the company is already getting you the senior leadership buy-in that, yes, you're doing a good job, we are happy that we are addressing this specific problem, and it gives you like the validation that this problem is important for others to understand as well. It might happen, OKRs, objective and key results. It might be that some of you don't know what is it's standing for and how does it work. So basically, you set an objective, and then you have the milestones, how you're going to reach it. So this is a very important element in the outcome-based life because the OKRs are helping you to stay on track. It helps you to maintain the focus because in product world, we are crazy busy. I mean, there are so many topics that are being discussed at the same time. You're doing so much context switching, and it's so easy to get lost. So it's really important that you come back to check in if you're on the right time. Are you doing the right thing? Are you solving the right problem? Are you reaching the goals that the company is wanting you to reach? It might be that the company doesn't have neither goals, neither OKRs. And I've been there. It's not easy. I was also in the company where the strategy was non-existing, and we were like, how are we going to set the OKRs without a strategy? But you start from your team, because that's what you work with. So you sit down with your team, you involve your team, and together you create the OKRs, and then you have something to come back to. And that way, the team also feels empowered because they participate in this process and they get the understanding, what are we trying to achieve? I forget to switch the slides. And the last most important thing is to be patient and to iterate. Because this is, as I mentioned, a change that impacts the mindset, that impacts the values, that impacts the understanding, the ways of working. It's very broad and a lot of elements are being impacted. So it's not going to be happening very soon. And at first, probably the hardest part is that it's hard to set the measurable result. It could be 10%, it could be 15%, but if you haven't done that, it's really hard. So relax, just run the first experiment, and then you see how much you're moving the thing, how much you are moving the metric, and then you have the data already to build on top. You know what is possible in the market to do. Okay. You need to do that step by step, of course, because overnight, you're not going to achieve that. Imagine you go home and you're like next morning, hey guys, I scratched everything from the roadmap and I want to do all outcomes now. I mean, that's a way to being fired. So let's not do that. Try to do that in little steps. And I would like to share with you how we did that in my previous company. And I would like to start with why we changed. So basically, the product organization was growing and we were like maturing. Our products were maturing as well. And it was like we need the better ways because it's not only about building and making it available. We need to optimize. So outcomes are very handy when you need to optimize the thing. And of course, we wanted to optimize our customer experience. At first, it was uncertain. It felt scary because imagine the management comes and says, we want to change the way we work. And you're like, oh, what are we doing here? But of course, as I said, the moment you get familiarized, you get more information, and then it gets like easier, and then you see the value, and you're like, I'm in, let's do it. So before that, you need to choose the goal. And we chose to increase the conversion to fifth shop by 90%. I know 90 is ambitious, but that's true, that's not 9%. And yeah, this is what we wanted to do with the first iteration of trying to work outcomes. And we started from the workshop. The goal of the workshop was to leave the workshop with prioritized outcomes and next steps. That was probably the longest workshop I ever done because it was like 2-3 hours, about 5 sessions. I mean, that was a lot of time. It shouldn't be taking that much, but it was our first run, so we were like already making fun the longest workshop we ever participated at. Our North Star was the mission of the department, and since it was acquisition and retention, we wanted to acquire new users and converting them to the shopper. That was the mission. And the crafts that participated was from different areas, like user research, UX designers, data people, product people from different seniority. And different seniority is important because, and different crafts are important because you get a broader perspective of information, you cover more areas, and you have a better understanding of a touch base, where is your company at, and a product marketing. So sorry, we started the workshop as as I mentioned, the first thing to align everybody at the same time, at the same focus. So what we did, that different crafts shared their areas, their information. So like data shared how the user is behaving on our platform currently, like where they churn, what's the rate of churn, how they convert or not. Then the user research shared the information that they had from the user interviews about shopping habits, because it was a retail. So about how the customers are actually shopping, what are their habits, what they're doing. And the product marketing department shared the things about what is in the market happening, what are the trends, what are the customer behaviors identified in the market, and what's important there. After that, we did a brainstorm session where we generated the opportunities that were relevant for us. So for example, I want to do the shop quickly. And then we group them to the teams, like you do in the brainstorm session, and you vote to select what is the most important for us, specifically for this department, for this mission. When we had the opportunities, we looked at the outcomes. What outcomes would be relevant to our mission? What we would like to do? When we had the outcomes, there was another session where we reviewed the opportunities that we had, and we mapped them to the outcomes. This way, we had already the things that we would like to focus on. But then you have a lot of them. How do we do that? So we needed to prioritize them. And for that, we chose the impact and effort metrics. I love this tool because it's pretty easy and it's pretty handy, and it gives you the quick wins, because that means that it has a high impact and a low time, low effort to deliver. I know that this sort of like mapping the estimation, we were product people, remember? So I mean, we were like, okay, how complex it is. It was without the engineering, so it was just to get us moving. And what now? You have the prioritized opportunities, you have the outcomes that you want to move. It will depend from every company, because some companies have a lot of teams. Like I used to work where there was 100 of product managers, 100 development teams, and now I work where we have 2 product teams. So it really depends on everything, on the maturity of the company. In our case, we had 3 scenarios that we kicked out in parallel. So first of all, the unicorn in the product world, the team that has space on the roadmap. So that team chose the opportunity, and they started investigating and working on it immediately. My personal case was that I needed to create a space on the roadmap. How do you do that? You review what you have on the roadmap, and then you see, what actually problems do we have? What are we solving? Maybe something can be postponed. Maybe you have an item on the roadmap that you can rethink and like do reverse engineering and see what problems that item is solving, and put the problem. And maybe when you come there, you will revisit the solution, and little by little. In this way, you have already a mix of a roadmap of outcome and outputs, and that's one step closer to your end result, outcome-based development. And then a third one, when it's very complicated, is to do a feature squad. Feature squad is a team that you take different crafts from different teams, like one person from the team. That means that the main team doesn't suffer majorly, and you have a new team that could attack the outcome. So this team, in our case, was working on one of the quick wins that was related to a product manager who was leading that area. So she chose the problem that we wanted to solve, and she, together with the feature squad, decided to, on the solution, did the investigation, discovery, and everything, and then delivered the item. So there are things that we can try and we can try to achieve. Long story short, remember our goal of 90%? Yeah, people say go hard or go home. We went hard. We learned our lessons, we iterated, we started from the beginning, we chose different goals, we chose different methods, we did another sessions of brainstorming the opportunities, and we continued. So basically now you have the information about the outcomes, you understand what it is, you know what is important, and you know how, like one of the examples, what you can do. So I would say that you roll your sleeves and you go get them. You have the tools, you have the power. Here's an action plan, a cheat sheet for you. What could you do when you come back to your organization and where to start? So basically, you start from onboarding the team. the team focus, explaining what is outcome for them to understand why we are doing this change and what are we wanting to achieve, that we now focus on the value to the customer. You check the goals of the company, you check the OKRs, maybe you create them yourself. And then you review your roadmap. What's the situation that you have? Do you have space? Don't you have space? Who could you talk to? Talk to your senior leadership. When you come to senior leadership and you tell them the plan and you're like super confident about it, they like this. So I think that there is a really big opportunity for us. We are just afraid to talk a lot of times with senior leadership. So don't be afraid of it. I mean, what worse can happen? They will tell you that, no, it's not, you cannot do this in this company. Okay. Then another thing is organize the workshop, because nobody ever said that you cannot have a meeting within your company. So bring in the people, talk about what are they knowing about our customers, what problems they are, about what problems they are aware of, and things like that. And depending on the situation where you are in your company, go little or go strong. Let's review the benefits of the outcome-based development. And I think the biggest one is that it empowers the product team and creates space for learning. That is because the experts of their areas and the people closest to the product and to the customers are solving the problems. And that creates the environment where the team is empowered. They are learning. You learn what things work, what doesn't, and that gives you way more power as a team and more knowledge and not just blindly delivering the things. Another one is that you are working on the latest technology, not working on the latest technology, delivering the latest technology and tools into the production, because you are not, like when you plan the traditional roadmap, you're like, we're gonna be delivering this feature, okay, so I'm gonna be implementing the library version 4. By the time you come to deliver the library version 4, it's already maybe 5th or 6th. So that means that when you're solving currently the problem and you choose the tools, you choose the latest ones, the latest versions that are in the market. It gives you the flexibility and agility because you focus on problems, so you have a possibility to solve it differently. You have a possibility to react to market changes, to new technologies, like when the AI came out and everything like that, that you can deliver new, like, a creator of the workout with AI based and etc. If you would have planned this like way earlier on the traditional roadmap, probably you would not even have a possibility to work on that. And it communicates outcomes and success and the value delivered to your customers, to your stakeholders, to everybody within the company. And also scares your competitors because the customers are talking more about you. And of course, it improves the business results because when the customers are liking your product, there is the higher acquisition, there is the higher retention, and that means more money for the company, obviously. And basically, to summarize, outcomes are communicating the measurable change to your organization and how you're achieving the success towards the shared strategy. And also, it removes the silos within the organization and improves your communication within the organization and the information flow. So I have to say that I recommend to play with it. Look at, like, I hope you participated in the previous talk of the Forsha, but basically play, be curious, learn from your mistakes, because our mistakes are the most valuable learnings for us, because I mean, it's rarely that we learn from somebody else's mistake. When we burn our thing, then it's when we actually, oh, this is hot, I shouldn't be doing this. And repeat, do the iterations again and again. And I think that you can do it. Yes, you can do it. Basically, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this talk. I hope you take something away from here. And in case you want to talk more about it, I'm going to be here for both of the days. And if no, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'm happy to answer your questions from my perspective, from my experience, and chat about it. And, well, there is no yeah. That QR is mine. And give me the feedback, because it's when Paul said that there's going to be a feedback after every session, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do it. But yeah, go ahead and give us the feedback. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.